The final episode, Demon 79, takes us into the realm of retro horror fantasy. Far from the tech dystopias and media satires the series has focused on before. In fact, the title sequence reads a red mirror film, which distinguishes it as different yet adjacent to Black Mirror, writer and creator Charlie Brooker explained to Netflix in April. In Demon 79, we meet mild-mannered department store clerk Nida and John Avazin, who one day, while eating lunch in the basement, discovers a talisman with a mysterious symbol on it. Turns out it's more than just a peculiar knick-knack. It actually conjures a supernatural demon named Gap, who takes the form of fabulous disco star Bobby Farrell, Papa Esidu, whom Nida has seen on TV. But sadly Gap's not here for a booty. He informs Nida that if she doesn't perform 3 human sacrifices, killings, in the next 3 days, the end of the world will come about in the form of a fiery nuclear apocalypse. Compared to an agonizing death for all, as Gap reasons, 3 kills is no big deal, so Nida should be able to carry out the plan easily, right? Judging from the fiery mushroom clouds destroying northern England on May Day, 1979, Nida's deadline, she doesn't succeed. But she takes a good stab at it, to be fair. At first, Nida isn't a natural murderer, so Gip convinces her to target victims who deserve death, giving her visions of the terrible deeds they have committed or will potentially commit in the future. She actually finishes killing 3 people early, a bit ambitious, but Gap's bosses tell him that Nida's second victim, Keith Nicholas Burns, doesn't count because he's a known murderer. The big guys upstairs or downstairs don't count killings of killers, since they're playing for the home team, so to speak. It was quite a character arc. Vasson tells Tudum of Nida's transformation. In the beginning, she's just an ordinary person who's trying to survive in a society that is very hostile to her. I talked a lot with co-writer Bisha K. Ali about these layers of shrinkage that she subjects herself to. Nida regroups and for her 4th attempt, or 3rd legitimate kill, taps into her own rage that's built up after being marginalized by the people in her life, particularly her racist bully of a co-worker, Vicky, Catherine Rose Morley. She wants to target a new customer, Michael Smart, David Shields, a conservative MP candidate who's destined to cause death and destruction with his fascist policies. But Gip warns against choosing Michael as her final mark. Although he's not technically a murderer, yet he'll be responsible for some juicy deaths in the future, making him a less than ideal sacrifice to Gap's bosses. But Nida's mind is made up and she decides to go after him, despite Gap's misgivings. There's a kind of freedom that is unlocked within her, which is both exhilarating and dangerous, says Vezin. Alas, before Nida can finish Michael off with a hammer, the police show up and interrupt her final, world-saving kill. She's brought to the station where the clock runs out as she's questioned. It's highly implied by the old newspaper clippings Nida sifts through. Right before she discovers the talisman, that the founder of the department store, Jeffrey Posset, murdered 3 people to successfully prevent a previous May Day apocalypse many years earlier. Presumably, the talisman has been passed from Posset to Nida. The symbol, a glyph that looks a bit like a tuning fork, perhaps representing the branches of fate and the consequences of our choices, is part of the Black Mirror universe. It played a big role in 2018's interactive film Black Mirror, Bandersnatch, and was also seen in the Season 2 episode, White Bear, as well as a few other places throughout the series. With Nida's failure, Gep also fails his initiation into demonhood, so he'll be cast into eternal oblivion. But Gep checks the small print and finds that there are no rules against bringing companions, so he invites Nida to come along with him for the never-ending ride. They lock eyes, Nida gives a seductive smirk, and we get a happy ending, kinda. To be fair, it does look like these two will have some fun in eternal oblivion together. I think it'll be like spring break, but just in a boundless void, Esidu says. Adds Vezin. But maybe there's always disco music playing. Bright Eyes by Art Garfunkel. It's fitting in many ways. It was released in 1979, the same year that this episode is set. The lyrics are both romantic and ominous, like the relationship between Nida and Gap, and the title calls to mind one of Vazin's most distinctive features. Executive producer Jessica Rhodes previously told Netflix, and Jana's Eyes could have their own series. They are the most expressive, captivating eyes of any human I've ever met.